I know this. Ew, there's a delay. That's so weird. Let's go with some black and white so y'all don't have to deal with my face looking haggard as I do. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to try not to make this super long because I could not get my tripod to behave. It's kind of rickety, so I'll have to be holding this. I'll do the best that I can. I always debate about getting personal and getting into things of a personal nature on here, but I've got another device here too that I'm going to refer to in a minute. And I have a couple notes, but not a script by any means. So for the last several years, I've tried to do what I believe God has asked me to do, and that is to reveal to people what is happening on a massive scale. I've tried a variety of different ways to show that everything we're seeing take place is intentional. And this is all my personal testimony, so there will be a lot of speculation, but a lot of logic used to reach certain conclusions. More like an editorial. I do not consent to any part of this being used for any other reason other than by my own self. And the disclaimers are in the description box. So, yeah. Alright, now let me continue. So I tried to do what I thought God had asked me to do for the last several years, and that's getting harder and harder to do. Sammy just had his peanut butter, so he's having a drink now. I'm sorry, that's a little loud, huh? Sammy, I apologize. And that was to show people what I believe, what I know in my heart, has been an intentional, duplicitous, nefarious, insidious plot by some of our own loved ones, people in the government, allegedly, in the government, whatever that means anymore, and by people in alleged authoritative positions like policemen, people in the public sector, right? People doing service work like policemen, firefighters. Unfortunately, all the people that we look up to, some of them have been bought off, some of them have been threatened, some of them have been blackmailed. I suppose whatever works is what has been done. Sammy, sit down, please. Lay down and be a good boy. I should have journaled more. I should have wrote down specific incidents that happened each and every day to refer to, or at least for posterity's sake. And maybe this would be a little easier. I don't know. But thank you for your patience, and thank you for being here. If you take the time enough to care to listen, I will relate how my personal testimony, I know, shines a light on what's actually happening on a bigger, broader, massive scale. So I'm going to show you something that I just found. Most people know from the Berean Jen channel, I pretty much confessed everything on Facebook and the original channel, not to gain pity, or because if you hear my story, you know that it's hard to pity me. I don't want to get into too much of the background, but I pretty much confessed that I had strayed. I had been tempted to stray, but I do also believe, I firmly believe, I know that that was done purposely because I was an influencer on Facebook, one of the first ones before that word was even used. And I was also one of the first people who was canceled for posting about some of the laws that were happening in Canada and sticking up for children and saying, you know, that the children should not be sexualized, and they should not be, and that they should not be abused, and they should not be, that they should be valued as future leaders of our country and future spiritual leaders and counselors of our country and future caretakers of the current generation. So it's an investment. When you invest in the next generation, when you invest in our children, you're investing in the future. And that's nothing new. People way smarter than me have said that before. So I'm going to show you something that I just found today. I had made a backup account on Facebook at one time so that I could basically see things that maybe I was blocked from on my regular account from seeing. I'm not going to read what's said. I'll leave it in front of the camera. You guys can read it. It's very brief. It's a Facebook post. I never posted on this account. I never had reason to look at it. I recently was going to start using it to sell things so that maybe I could support myself. But this is what I found when I went to post to Facebook. I never posted that, quite obviously. When I came back from Florida and this campaign began in earnest to destroy me, to ruin my credibility when I came back from Florida, there was a device I had left at home and it had my account on it, right? And so they had went in and hacked my account without telling me. I didn't get that notice. Most of the parents got like, hey, your daughter hacked your account. Remember when all that was going on? There was a reason for that, to see who they could trust, to see who they could blackmail, to see what ways could be used to manipulate people into complying or into either A, homelessness, B, being committed, or C, killing yourselves, ending yourselves. This is what is wanted by these people. And again, there are bigger topics, true crime stories everywhere who use words that I just used. So again, you can't report me for things that people all over YouTube are doing, and there's much worse than just words being used. There's veritable porn on YouTube. And the other day I saw a video of a dog harming, so I won't even get into that at the moment. I'll do a whole nother video about that. We live in a sadistic society. What is a sadist? A sadist is somebody who enjoys causing and inflicting pain on others, especially those that they deem gross to them, like disgusting, because they're different or because of their beliefs or whatever, less than them. Sadists enjoy harming people. And so, again, I have a couple notes. I apologize. This makes me obviously very upset. I was debating on whether I should do this again, but I have to show and document what's been happening, and I have to show people proof. I understand that, and that's what we should be doing. So the psychology behind what happened to me and the person who did all this harm to me and who trashed my reputation and my credibility, it wasn't because I hurt them, though that's what they want me to believe. They wanted me in a state of guilt. They wanted me in a state of confusion. They wanted me in a state of condemnation. I'm not good enough. I'll never get anywhere. This will never go anywhere. That's the goal. And that's what you're seeing on a massive scale, because our society and our government in particular and people in alleged authoritative positions are sadists. Their psychotomy, their psychology is that of a sociopathic sadist. That means that they enjoy inflicting physical pain, but also manipulating and causing spiritual and mental pain. For example, it is known that I love God, so to hurt me, I'm constantly told how wicked I am, how I'm going to go to Hades. This is a daily thing in my life. This is what I live with. Now, I should be able to call SSI and say, talk to an advocate and say, this is what's going on. I'm in an abusive situation. I'm being abused financially, verbally, mentally. At this time, it does not matter because it is happening on a massive scale. I've tried in a variety of different ways to show people what's really going on behind the curtain, what these stories are really about, what the questions that we should be asking, not because I'm better than anybody or because I'm smarter than anybody, because believe me, if I was smart, I would not be in the position that I am in today. This is all retrospective. I'm looking back on what happened to me and saying, wait a second, this has happened. This is what they're doing to everybody. So I'm not special because it's happening on a massive scale, right? And I've tried to be creative and artistic and show media, different media, and say, try and get people to ask the right questions. But, sometimes you just got to call a spade a spade. And what you're seeing is a calling on a massive scale. But because everybody was expecting pitchforks and guillotines, they're not seeing it for what it is right now and what's happening. How many people are being diagnosed with the big C right now? Why was that article saying that people who are anti-rainbow hijacker club, why are they saying that people who feel that way emotionally have a higher risk of getting the big C? That doesn't make sense biologically and scientifically speaking. They're telling you what they're doing. It is a massive culling. This is population control in effect right now. Carbon reduction means people reduction because we are made of carbon. But nobody cares because we are so apathetic and filled with fluoride. And there's something in the food, man, because every time I eat anymore, it's like I almost go to comatose. Like immediately I'm tired. I want to lay down, take a nap, go to, rest. And I don't eat animals anymore. So it's not like I'm eating big, right? Big enough to have that effect on me. I've tried at my own detriment, my own humiliation, and my own embarrassment. I've tried showing people this is what's happening, not because you need to focus on me and my story, but because it's happening everywhere. I am not special. But everything that God has told me and everything that God has showed me and led me to has been true. I have known things in advance that I should not have known about. And if you watch the original channel, you see that. But again, it's not, God is with us. And God is with me no matter how bad people want to condemn me for straying on my husband. I readily admit that. But I also admit I don't know, number one, if he is even my spouse. Number two, Catholics and Freemasons aren't supposed to be together at all. These people knew this. The terrorists went looking for the wheat. They wanted us right beside them. They want to corrupt us. They are the ones pushing us into the ditch. I was pushed into the ditch, not, and again, what I did was wrong, but I was tempted there. I was led there by people that I loved because they knew my weakness. And that post that I just showed you was made after the police were called the first time. And I warned them and I said, this man is going to hurt me. He is going to do me harm. And they did nothing. They were negligent. I told them this tattoo man from LA who has a federal license to carry, who always joked about being a Leo, but I knew his birth date was the same as my husband's. He made a point of telling me that. He's not a Leo. He meant Leo law enforcement officer. These are bad people, and they are in positions of authority. And he worked for ICE because that's all he ever said was ICE, ICE. And I'm like, why is this dude always talking about ICE? What is he talking about? And the goal, I was told for months and months and months, get out, get out, get out. I was kicked out, locked out a couple of times after somebody else told me to go get cigarettes, and I slept in the snow. The goal is to get you on the street because it is an open harvest. It is open season. It is the purge. And nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear it. But to my own detriment, I've been telling this story. For 6 years now, I've been dealing with this. And that's proof right there, too. The fact that that post was up for 6 years and not one person messaged me, not one person reached out to tell me, hey, you might want to check into this account. They posted something very defamatory on your page. And let me be very clear about something. It might not be slander because it's true, but it is defamation of character. How am I supposed to get a job now? Because I just talked to somebody about a job yesterday who said they'd call me for an interview for Saturday. How am I supposed to get a job now if she looks me up, because I do still use my maiden name with a hyphen, if she looks me up and sees that? That's defamation. I could sue these people for defamation and damages. 6 years I have dealt with this. And the stalking, this man has called me crazy. And he's made me crazy. They want you to look crazy so that if you're not homeless, then they can commit you. Because aren't they talking about helping all the homeless right now because they need all this mental help? For whatever reason, he had admitted to hypnotizing me at the beginning of all this. I think that's why we're hearing so many people, so many women, especially with similar stories. I believe that, and for some reason it happens when we're sleeping, because he begged and begged and begged to sleep with me again, and we didn't sleep together for years before that. And I'm sure not going to lay down next to somebody and close my eyes who almost killed me twice. I heard that man tell my son. And sometimes it's in order of intensity. When you're looking at your memories or you're trying to put a puzzle together, they kind of happen in order of intensity. Much like I remember the memory of my child being born and being pregnant better than I remember, I don't know, getting my first dog, right? That was a big day, right? But chronologically, I had the children after, but the memory is more intense. So sometimes that happens when I'm telling my testimony. I was violated in my own home. I went to the police. Even after knowing I couldn't trust them, knowing they were negligent, knowing that after I told them I was going to be harmed, that I was harmed, that I had the stuff bounced out of my head and my ear sewed back on. But that wasn't enough. Then I had to be violated in my sleep. And I wasn't just sleeping. Something was put in my drink. Because with anesthesia, you might not readily remember something right at that moment, like right immediately after it happens. But the more time that passes, the more it comes back to you. And I've never been easily anesthetized. Because it's been happening to me since I was a little girl, because I had a lot of surgeries and stuff. I had my appendix removed, tubes put in my ears, a bee gotten out of my ear, and back then they knocked you out for everything. I believe that's why he's with me. When we first were seeing each other, he was going down to Pittsburgh. The girl that I was with, we were into the occult stuff. I didn't know it was the occult at that time. I didn't understand what was happening to me. It was a very soft and subtle grooming that was taking place in my life. And so we had we had talked in advance that she was going to hypnotize me. He still thinks that that was real to this day. Surprise! Not quite as easy as you thought, right? That's why he screamed that at me. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What's it going to take? For some reason, the adrenaline, that's the goal, is to get you into a high state of like adrenaline, right? Either they can't get you afraid, they want you very angry. You're easier to manipulate that way. And for other darker, esoteric, occult reasons as well. But psychology is a big part of this. And so I tried to do what I was asked to do. I tried to bring all this to you. And I know my husband's a sadist, or whatever he is. I know he's a sadist, and I know he enjoys doing harm to me. And I know this big plot was a plot, because everything that happened in my life came to the public and happened in the public. Everything, every bit of it. I know my numbers are manipulated. Why do big YouTubers talk about things after I talk about them? I don't even have 500 subscribers on this channel. And it's been happening since about 2017 that I noticed. What was that guy's name? Vigilant Christian. Back then I had said, this dude's using a script. He's scripted. These guys are actors. Immediately after that, he did a video about that. I'm a nobody. Even my older channel at that time had like 1,000 subscribers maybe. But it keeps happening over and over and over and over again. And I've listed it, and I've given documentation on that. I never consented to whatever it is that's taking place. I never consented to being monetized or other people making money off of me. Never consented to be on OnlyFans or any of that stuff. But I know there's probably videos out there of me doing heinous things. Everybody here has transgressed. Everybody is guilty in some way. And this is my penance, me trying to warn you about what's happening. Be careful with your food and drink. This is a dangerous time. Just because there aren't open guillotines and beheadings taking place does not mean persecution is not happening. It does not mean that the culling is not on and the harvest is not occurring. But it's not a good harvest. This isn't the harvest of God right now. Well, I mean, it is, in a way, I guess. I mean, because it is written about, what, 2/3 of men there will only be a third left. And this is why there's channels who say, oh, it's a plan, it's a plan, it's a plan of the elite. Man, there's no way this many people could carry this thing off if it was not spiritually motivated. No freaking way. It would take way too much. The Nazis coming over here, Project Paperclip, that has a lot to do with this. Maybe I'm the only person. Maybe I'm the Mulligan. Maybe I am Truman. I have no idea what's occurring, actually. I know that all the things God has led me to have been true. I know that He told me I'm a witness, so I'm trying to witness for God. And trying to, shake people awake and say, wake up. It's, the persecution and the tribulation are not going to be televised events. Just like the epidemic of 1912. Nobody's asking the right questions. So I tell you my story because the psychology of my spouse is what we are dealing with on a massive scale. These people don't care about your emotions. They don't care about your feelings, but they will pretend to have emotions. They are mocking women. They're mocking mothers. They're mocking men who love their wives and making a joke out of it all, while we just sit by and turn the other cheek. Are we supposed to? Yes, to a point, but we have voices. I don't even have 500 subscribers, but I'm still here trying to reach people at my own detriment, being followed around, stalked around, gaslit by my own family over and over and over again, being told you're crazy, when I know that's not the truth. I wish I was crazy. But I've shown you over and over and over again for 6 years now. 3.5 years pretty steadily. But 6 years since everything started occurring in my life. I did not want this to be too long, and I know people are going to mock me for crying on the internet. Like, I get that. I know that's where this is going. And it's okay. It doesn't really matter to me. How much gratification can you have really taking candy from a baby? How much gratification can you get from harming people or pulling one over on somebody that you think is nothing anyway? Like, why bother then? Why waste so much time? There goes the right ear. Why waste so much time on me? Why would they waste so much time on me? Why would they censor this channel so much? Why would people start stalking me when I tell you death is an illusion? That it's not the end? That we don't have to consent? That we do have a choice? That there's always a choice? That just by using your voice and your words, you can push back the evil spiritually from yourself, your household, and your family? Over and over and over again, I've tried to help. And they've cut. Every time I try to get back up, I'm not even on my knees again, and they're kicking me down. Ask yourself why. If I am truly a nobody, if I am nothing, if our voices don't matter at all, then why are they trying to suffocate us so much? They're using minorities now to flip things and to make other people minorities. I've always been somewhere in the middle. I've always been picked on and persecuted and bullied, and it's just what has happened to me. So I've had to learn to make myself mentally and spiritually strong enough to deal with it and endure it. Because I don't think there's a lot of people out there who even have, like, notice of their hearts anymore. If someone like me with, like, a really huge heart and really naive could be led down the wrong path and can be turned into, like, an NPC type drone, then it can happen to anybody. Ask yourself why they are stalking certain people and surveilling them. If we are truly nothing, why are they wasting so much time on us and so many resources on us if you are truly nothing? And now they're using minority groups and propping them up so that those folks They're using them to drive an agenda, right? So now those folks who are on the top now, and like the white male, right? The white alpha male, or maybe, just basic, male who's married, has 2.5 kids, a car, goes to work to a 9 to 5 every day. They're demonizing that, right? And so all of these people who used to be the one minority are now on the top and they get to kick everybody else. So they're going along with it because it's their payday. They're banking now. And other people are going along with it because they don't want their families to be harmed. I've done things very specifically because I knew I was being monitored, just trying to be outrageous, waiting for somebody to admit to what was going on. But I've been monitored for years. Looking back now, either I am in the most psychic area, and I am one of the most psychic people I know. You've seen me, you've seen the messages God brings me, but there's no way that all these people would know about my life and like talk to me in the same way. There's no way that everyone that I message over the last few years starts talking to me the same way after like the first couple conversations. And I mean like word for word, verbatim. AI, there's some type of, and I know that they have cloned social media sites so that you can think you're actually on talking to people and you're not. They have messaging apps that will message people. It was supposed to be used for business purposes, but they've used it and they've weaponized it all against us. And I know this because I worked in a cell phone company. I've worked in a bank. I've worked in billing. I've worked in these areas where I've had to deal with computers and intranet and internets. Very detail oriented and very specifically. I had to search for things on my own and become educated and better at my job, to serve people. So it's easier for me to see when these technologies are being used and used that they should not be used. And there should be regulations. Absolutely there should. And you need to pay attention to those. If you're going to vote on anything, don't vote for a person. Vote for the issues. Vote by issue. Don't vote by individual. Vote for the issues that matter to you, because this technology has been turned around and used against me. So again, I'm not some big important person. So if it's happening to me, I know it's happening to other people out there. Go see your loved ones. Physically see them. Because again, there's no way that every cousin I've spoken with and every friend that I've spoken with via technology over the last 6 years says the same exact thing verbatim all the time. That's not normal. Those are the things, and baby ending, being part of a sacrificial paganite system. Vote for issues that matter to you, but forget voting for people because it doesn't even matter. We'll get the rulers that we deserve. A governor, a state is more than enough, I would think. The president's just some figurehead they plop out there. And I told you that the elites walk beside us and rub elbows with us every day. If you were wealthy and had a bunch of money, would you let your picture be plastered everywhere? And your children's? I wouldn't. Just like MTV Cribs, people still think that show was real. After people have come out and said the house they showed me in, that wasn't my house. But people believe everything they see it because it's on a screen. They believe everything they hear because their celebrity who looks like they have the perfect skin, the perfect body, the perfect life. Not seeing it took 2 hours to get their butt in a girdle or, put on the extension and the weave and the nails. Or what else? Like Tate. I'm sure, he's obviously metrosexual. I'm sure he does his nails. His hair is very groomed. He never has a hair growing and it's always perfectly shaved. If somebody like that says it, people listen. And so again, to my own detriment, I've been bringing this to you because my testimony matters, because it's happening to everybody. Everyone that they want to get rid of right now. It is legitimately the purge. And I don't know if I have it. I've saved a lot of stuff. There was somebody who made the comment. No, Florida had their calling in 2018, and that's why I was taken there. They wanted to get rid of me. And I knew something was up, and I got my own hotel room for the last night we were down there. Why did you do that? She asked me. I said, because you were being messed up. not going to let you pay for my hotel room and sleep in there with you and your kids and be told I have to be asleep by 9 o'clock. Like, I'll just get my own room. It is a calling, and that is what's happening. And I already know what's going to happen to me. And I've done nothing to avoid it. I've stood right here like God told me to. Stood firm in my faith, firm in the love that I have for my children, so they can see physically someone trying to make a difference, even no matter how small, in my own corner, right? With the 2 people that are watching right now. If just one of you sees that I'm a real person with a real heart and with real love for my fellow man and my children, I have passionate, mad love for my family. I would still to this day walk through fire for any of them that needed me. You need to understand that I'm doing this out of love. It's obviously not for popularity. It's obviously not for props or clout or any of that stuff. It's not for fancy sponsorship. It's not for money. But no one person could tell me for 6 years that post remained up, and not one person warned me and said, hey, and I have decent family that would. In my dad's side, I have family that would tell me. And it makes them look bad if nothing else. Like, hey, take that down. Why do you have that up there? Do you know that's up there? But nobody did. Now, is it because my messaging apps are cloned and nobody can reach me? I don't know. It's very easy to isolate me because I don't drive, and I'm not going to. No matter how I'm mad, no matter how much other people pressure me. It's just not something I'm going to do. When I leave this place, I will leave by the power of my own 2 feet. God is with me. God is with you. God is with us in this time. But we cannot just sit on our hands and act like all this is okay. We cannot be complacent in our Christianity anymore. We cannot be complacent in our humanity anymore. Our children will suffer. And like I said, when you invest in that generation, the generation that comes after you, you're investing in the future. Your future and their future, and the future of society as a whole. So why are they wanting to wreck all this? Because it's an anti-human agenda. Anything about us that makes us human, they want gone. Emotional people like me, that's one of the reasons I'm on the chopping block. One of the reasons out of many. But I was very specifically told that it was because I went back to church. So I want to be very clear about that. Because if you are persecuted because of your faith, the doctrine says that certain things will occur. And I need those certain things to occur so my children are blessed. So that they can see me trying to redeem to try and show love and grace and respect for the relationships in my life. And yeah, this is hard. Like, it shouldn't be easy, right? To tell people, hey, I was a piece of crap. But I told that man for every day, I'm going to leave you. Like, that was the deal. That way he couldn't say, oh, I didn't know you did this out of left field. Dude, I am supporting you. You're not doing anything. You have no motivation. Something's going on with our children. You have no care for them. If you can't sit down and, like, let's have family meetings or let's talk. I have to be told we can't have an adult conversation. Like, what grown man at 50, like that's what I deal with. There is no conversation. And it never used to be like this bad. But again, I'm telling you my story as a cautionary tale, but also as evidence of, like, this is happening to a lot of people. It's not just me. And it was a plan, and it is intentional. And I've laid out all the proof, I believe, or at least the puzzle pieces in my testimony. I've tried to put this puzzle together in a variety of different ways, and it doesn't fit any other way. It does not work any other way other than this is an intentional plot. But again, those people who say that it's wicked, this, that, and the other, it's God's plan. Like, this is not God, maybe not even God's plan. It's what our free will has brought us to this point. Because we're misusing it, right? We're not properly utilizing our consent and our free will. The sword of the Spirit is your tongue. They have all these Hebrew Israelite youngsters thinking that Christ is coming with a literal sword. Now there will be judgment and whatnot, and I already said, like, I had these dreams and stuff of earthquakes. Listen, that doesn't just mean literal. That means a shaking up of the earth as a people. All of the nations getting a shake up, getting a wake up, right? And I don't know what it's going to take to explain these things to people anymore, because I've done it in so many different ways over the last several years. I've done it through movies and songs and scripts and plot lines and news. And still, everyone just goes to work we're holding the system up. I'm not saying that the whole thing should fall down, but we all definitely need to take a breath and at least know how to be self-sufficient. There are so many things we don't know. And if something happens, we are screwed, basically, because we don't know the basics. The people that will do the best are the people that everyone else has made fun of for years. It will be the people canning. It will be the people that are humble. It will be the people who don't know, like, the latest trends, but they can tell you how to bake a pie from scratch. Those will be the people who do well. And I've tried to get in a part of groups. I've tried to, find places to go, things to do, offer the skill set that I have. And there is no compassion. If anyone gave a darn about me, I wouldn't be in this position. I've asked you guys, I've asked, family, friends, not that, like, you guys aren't a thing, right? You're the internet. But I've asked, I told family and friends what was coming. I told them I was going to be hurt, and I was. And again, they saw that post sit up there. For 6 years, that was up there. My real name, not too hard to find, right? Not one person could tell me that was there. No one person can even hit the like button, man. Like, really? Like, that's where we're at. I'm not pushing that for her. I'm not giving that homeless person $5. He'll just go buy booze with it. What kind of booze do you think somebody's going to buy with $5? And if they do, because they're out on the street and they need to keep warm, so be it. That'll keep them warm longer than a Big Mac will. When is it going to stop? And I'm sure there's tons of trolls that are going to stop by this video. The troll police. You're crying on the internet. So what, man? At least I still have a heart to show to people. And I'm trying to explain, like, how to use this consent and this free will, and that we do have a choice. There's always a choice. You don't need to go to that job every day. You think you need to go to that job every day. We should be organizing. We should be gathering. We should be restructuring our small rural communities at this time. We should be spreading out a little bit and not wearing out the land in one place over and over and over again. It's not good for the land. The food has no nutrients in it when you do that. Like, these are things we should be doing, but everybody likes their toys too much. Everybody likes OnlyFans too much. Everybody likes YouTube too much. Everybody likes their car too much. That they're willing to go to that job just to pay for the car that they need to get to that job, to buy the fancy house that they're never in for the family they never get to see because they're at the job. It is the definition of insanity. And to say that, like, all these people say they're Christians. No, money is your God, man. You're chasing money. One of the churches that I went to when I was on my church journey in the area, during worship time, the person takes up $1 and starts, God will bless us with double everything. What am I doing, dude? Are we, like, it was a small town church. What is happening? What is happening? Why are more people not in shock? Why are more people not shocked by my story? The fact that I was violated in my own house. Woke up with bruises the size of baseballs on the backs of my knees. My tongue was swollen. I couldn't speak. I thought I had gotten bitten by a spider, because right then I didn't remember what had happened. And that happened to another YouTuber that I was watching, is what's really weird. She had a very similar incident where something happened to her neck and she wasn't sure how it happened. And her tongue, she's like, I can't even talk. It was really bad. And I think it was from, I bit my own tongue or something like that. when they were doing whatever it is they were doing to me. But now I can tell you what people were wearing, and these are people that I'd fed. These are people that I'd welcomed into my home for years and years. You know, just being that kind of parent who, okay, they can come here. Okay, I'll cook them dinner. Okay, I'll order everybody a pizza. Okay, I'll take them to the pool. Meanwhile, I'm doing that and trying to keep things wholesome for their growing children, and they're out being debaucherous. Sometimes with my spouse. And nobody wants to admit that any of these things are going on, and they know it is. Part of it is to blackmail people. Part of it is literal sex magic. It's happening. Why do you think they're pushing human sacrifice again through genocide, euthanasia, and baby ending? Because they're pagans. They're druids, basically. You have to learn how to use your consent. You have to understand that you have a choice. You have to learn how to be uncomfortable again. Because the more that you have to take away at this point, the higher that you are, the harder your fall is going to be. The more they can manipulate you because you have all these toys and belongings or addictions. Get rid of it all. CV lockdown should have been a good time to get rid of all that stuff. Get rid of the addiction. Do not have ways in your life that you can be easily manipulated at this time, because it's already happened to a lot of people. And I've been saying this for several years as well. The more things that you have, the more that you have to lose, the easier you are to manipulate into compliance. And you're complying with the ending of your own fellow man. That is what's happening. It is a calling, it is persecution, it is tribulation. It's not going to be televised if they can help it. And it's right now not dramatic. First couple stages were done with injectables. Tiny, tiny little needles. All my disclaimers are in the description box. This video has been long enough. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for being here. Please pray for me. I will pray for you. We're going to have some fun topics coming up. Water as DNA and holding memory is going to be one of them. I'm really looking forward to that one. I've been kind of having that on the back burner for a while, so that'll be a fun one. It should be pretty soon. And I want to start readings because I've gotten a few really helpful books that I think will showcase some of the things I've been talking about. I've acquired quite the eclectic collection here, and they're all older books. This one I got was from 1890, and it talks about how world events, some of them are cyclical. It also talks about predictions that people made, and they're joking and laughing because these predictions didn't happen. But now in 2024, reading, just skimming the book, a couple of them have happened. There is no way all of these things that I've been talking about for the last, I don't know how many years, are all coincidences. Unfortunately, my videos and the information that I have will probably be used, if used at all, under posterity. Because, again, I know how this ends for me, but I stood right here and I did not try to change any of it. I have no desire to harm myself. I have no desire to harm anyone else. If you hear about me ending myself, I did not. Ask yourself why they're giving such a small person, such a little person, such a really big hard time. Why are they investing so much of their time? Why are they investing so much time in you? Persecuting you, gang stalking you, having you under surveillance. You don't think you're under surveillance? I bet you are. Bet you are. Probably by AI. But once you get on their radar, that's when they get real people involved. Right? Because then you're a threat. If you don't know what I'm talking about, read the Whisper Room series by Dean Koontz. It explains it pretty well, the whole gang stalking phenomenon. So as usual, Dean Koontz has been pretty prophetic once again. I'm going to go for now. This has been pretty traumatic seeing that. I didn't know that was there for the last 6 years. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to go back to the beginning of the video where I show my proof. This all started with my family. They hacked the account. They're the only ones that could hack the account. And that's my proof that people around you have been bought off too. So what are we going to do about it? It's time to gather. It's time to restructure. It's time to have an exodus and leave the wicked system. Let the rich eat the rich. That's what we should be doing. But I'm just one person, and I don't even have a group like that I can gather with. So I'm telling you, learn from my situation. But that's what they want. They want you isolated. They want you believing that you're crazy, that you're powerless, that you don't have a choice but to go along with all these things. You absolutely do have a choice, but your choice might make you uncomfortable. Doing the right thing is oftentimes the most uncomfortable thing you could probably do. That before I started learning, before my vision started clearing, that's also how I looked at things. I was like, well, if the world's doing this, I'm going to do the opposite of that, right? Sometimes you have to, we have so many masks on and labels on top of us that are just suffocating us. It's like being in an ocean of wet blankets, right? And you just can't get air. We've got to shed some of that and learn that we do have a choice, but sometimes you have to be uncomfortable. And the best thing most of us could have done, and most of us did do it, was learn during the lockdowns how to be really uncomfortable. I went days without the medication I was taking just to make myself go through temporary withdrawals so I could wean myself off of all that stuff. I intentionally did certain things just to mollify my spirit, right? And it sucks and it makes you uncomfortable, but it's much better doing it yourself and having the choice to do it than down the road here when things get really hard and the choice gets really hard to make, and it's a very clear sign of black and white, right and wrong. What are you going to choose? You don't want to have a lot to lose. You don't want to have a lot that other people can manipulate you with, and that's just a good rule to live by. The more that you have, the more that you risk losing. The easier it is to get you to do what other people want because you don't want to lose your status or your family or your house or your 10 cars or your vacation or your staycation, right? At least mentally extricate yourself from that stuff and don't be quite so attached to it. Learn that life hurts. Learn that suffering is good for the character. Everyone asks, why do we suffer? What's this problem with evil? Why is it a problem? I'm not saying to go out and do evil or anything like that. I'm saying it's to refine us. I'm saying that there's also something happening that's hidden by God. I believe firmly. I'm on this journey just like you, so I only get bits and pieces at a time to work with and to kind of let marinate. But there's something going on. A lot of us will feel bad for the tares and we feel sorry for them and we have the sympathy for the devil. Trey Smith, I'm gonna have to stop watching him now because he's got this whole sympathy for Nimrod thing, and I'm like, dude, no, I can't. I have nothing against these little G gods or whatever. I just don't want to mess with. We're not supposed to be messing with that stuff, and I'm definitely not going to tell people he might have went to heaven. That's not our call. Number one, it's not our lane. Stay in your lane. They're doing this for a reason because they're going to unveil all, they want their glory, man. They want the accolades. So they're about to unveil these fallen ones, I would imagine. They're pretty brilliant, right? I told you before, here, kitty, 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 I'm bait, and I'm good with that. I'm okay with that. I told God I would be. If I were them by now, I'd want to come out of the shadows, right? Wouldn't you want to be adored? Would you really want to end all these people, or would you want them adoring you and worshiping you? And that's how I know this is God, too, because there are certain things happening here that the dark side would not have happen, right? So God is still in control. The creator maker. Not this God that they tell you we allegedly have. I'm talking about the tippy tippy top God that even the Old Testament people got wrong a lot of the time. Even the old school prophets would tell people, you're eating food sacrificed to idols. It wasn't that they were sacrificed to idols. Everybody wants to stress that. It's the fact that they sacrifice living beings at all. That's why God came down and was like, all right, I'm going to walk this out. I'm going to show you how to do this. And then I'm going to get up on that cross. I'm going to show you that ain't real and nothing to be afraid of. I'm going to jump back down off of there. Then I'm going home. I'm going to let you think about all this and a timeout. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to see who's learned something. We're going to have your pub quiz. He was to be the last sacrifice because I believe, like, and again, this might change tomorrow if I have more information or more spiritual maturity, whatever it is, the word I'm looking for, more insight, right? But to me, it was the fact that we were sacrificing at all, and he came down here and said, look, I'll do this. I'll show you that this can be done, but then I'm going to show you that that means nothing to me. That the blood and the tears and the sweat honestly meant almost nothing to God because he got right back down. So here I am. Death ain't nothing but a door, guys. Here I am. Everything's cool. It hurt. I suffered. And also, we can't say, you don't know how we feel, Lord. We don't know. Most parents tell their children, I know exactly how you feel because it's true. We've already done it and walked it that way and been there. And that's what he's trying to tell us. Hey, I lived this with you. I was persecuted. I had the worst death imaginable, and it was public. So talk about humiliating, right? With everything showing and the whole, I just can't even imagine the mollification and the humiliation and just the grossness of the whole situation. It was so we could understand that God came down and he walked as one of us and he went through all of this already. So you don't have to stay away. You don't have to be afraid and think, well, I don't understand, because I do understand. So please come to me. Please seek me because I'm right here. I'm right here in front of you. Just see me. And I know that because that's how I feel with my children. And if I have that much passion and love for my children, oh my gosh, what the Creator, Maker, Father, Mother in heaven must have for all of us. Every one of us. Naturally, we are all the children of God. Spiritually, no, we're not. Because some people just don't want God. They're like, man, I don't want to go to heaven. It sounds boring. You really think hell's going to be a party? What were you promised down there, man? Because it ain't going to be a party. All those people who made you the promises, guess what? They're in hell too. Like, they're going to be doing their own business and taking care of their own. They're not going to be able to do nothing for you. But I do believe that there's a couple different levels. I don't know how to explain that. I've always thought that since I was a child. It's nothing anyone taught me. It does, I guess, go along with a couple of theologies out there. But anyways, we have to learn to be uncomfortable. We have to learn to suffer well. I've been trying to teach myself to suffer in silence. Just be quiet. Just be still. Have that peace and just be still and remember that God is with you. And it is so hard. Still living in the same situation where I was so damaged. How am I supposed to heal with that person in my face every day? And they're succeeding at life right now. Yeah, I might have hurt him, but I don't even think it was about that because, again, all this was intentional. It wasn't about hurt. It was about lost ego, embarrassment. Because he doesn't even like me. Everything I stand for, he hates, he makes fun of. These people, these terrorists, they picked the weed on purpose. Again, they wanted to corrupt us. Don't let them. Suffer in silence. Have that peace in your heart, knowing that you have the promises of God because you accepted them and received them. That's all you got to do. And again, God went through the most humiliating, public, embarrassing, painful ending. Well, death, because it wasn't an end, right? Of anyone, ever. Bar none. Like, why do you think people still talk about 2,000 years later, even people that aren't Christian? What other person has made such an impact on the world? He did that so So when we're feeling low and when we're being condemned and when we're being taken back through our past by our own mind, through regret and guilt and shame, come to me, he says. I've been there. I was shamed too. And I didn't even do anything wrong. I was shamed too. So don't stay away from me. I do understand. And that's all God's trying to say. In this time, you need to be mentally strong. It's going to become blatantly obvious, even to the drones in society and the NPCs, that we have a really big problem, and it is a spiritual sickness that cannot be fixed with better politicking, with better psychology, psychological insight. It can't be fixed through science. Maybe partially through science. Newton was a scientist and he was a Catholic too. Most doctors were. Back when doctors were good and they actually went to help people. I think that's all I have to say. If you are the praying kind, I would appreciate some prayers. Hitting the like button will let me know that you at least understand the things that I'm talking about. But again, we're so hard-hearted, we can't even push a like button for somebody, let alone help them when they're down. Someday this is going to be you. Doesn't matter who you are. Someday you are going to go through this at some point in your life. You will be persecuted unfairly, unjustly. That way nobody can boast. And that way we've all been in each other's shoes and we can say, have an easier time forgiving each other. I'm trying to give other people the grace, even though I don't feel like they deserve it at all, that God gave me and showed me. This is why I do this. But should we even be helped at this point? Do we deserve help? We are reaping what we've sown on a massive scale. And even the people, again, who say that they are hard-hearted, you have something that hurts you in some way, no matter what it is. And that thing is very soon going to be used against you. And it will be your downfall. And if I take any pleasure in that type of justice, it is that maybe, just maybe, in that process, y'all can have your hearts and souls back again. I don't mean you all, everyone. I mean the people who are hard-hearted right now. I wish I was harder of heart, and this wouldn't all hurt so badly.